and what is the problem of the city's sewer. So in your presentation, you said that our area is 21 feet above mean sea level. Even though, yeah, it's true, like the highest point might be 80 something, above mean sea level, but it doesn't mean that our elevation is low. It's 21 feet above mean sea level. And it's not because we are in a low elevation that we have to deal with the flooding. It's because the sewer is not designed to capacity. Okay, according to the report I read recently from the OMB, your sewer can only take 1.75 inches per hour. And I have been in DEP and taught that in doing design, the criteria to design a sewer is 5.95. If you divided that number, the sewer you can take for our area is less than 1/3 of what it's supposed to do. That's all our suffering comes from. And also, DEP is existing because you have the administrative code, Title 24, Environmental Protection and Utilities, Chapter 5, Drainage and Sewer Control, Section 24-503, Drainage Plan. The Commissioner of Environmental Protection shall devise and prepare a plan for the proper sewage and drainage of the city, as far as the same has not already been done, for the purpose of thoroughly draining and carrying of water and other matter. And this is the law that is required to do for us. But it has been 26 years. Nothing has been done. We have been lied to. You said you did the detention tank down the stream. Has nothing to do with the problem we have. And I know the situation. In order to build that detention tank, you give the Parks Department the whole facility, recreation facility. And I was going there. I'm sorry to expose that, because I'm so frustrated. It's been so long already. You spent like $2 million to research for that sewer. Nothing has been done. And if you said that you have built 120 something miles, why nothing is done for our neighborhood? One sewer is built.
Well said. We know each other a long time, and we've been hearing the information that you conveyed to us about it's correct to say the sewer system was designed for 1.75 inches per hour. We've had storms that have regularly exceeded that, and we know that we need to put in new infrastructure, and that's what the study is doing, and hopefully we'll finally have the money to do it.
That's what I say. Speaking.
I'm an engineer. I'm a licensed engineer, as you know, right? I used to do sewer design. I'm still doing utility design. So I wish that you can give me that information so that I can have a check and look at it on the design, because I don't trust. I asked for the drainage plan. I asked for the existing spill records, and I asked for the study reports. I want all of that information that is available to us.
We will make everything available. We'll have regular meetings with the community to walk you through the process as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
那个女士来说的话，她也是住在这个区的。她是说我们的排水道来说的话是1.75的，1个钟头能用这个铝的，为什么不能扩大这个东西？我们的局长说，我们这个东西在这里目前来说，就是要看看怎么扩大这个东西，我会跟你们汇报，谢谢。
My name is Jose. Thank you for coming and listening to our conversation. I'm thinking that today, as you flood the basin, every day, the past couple of years, it's terrible. And the thing is, the problem is, we stay the street. The thing is, the main problem, I believe, Nobody's stealing. Nobody's stealing. What do we call it? Whatever. Okay? Nobody's over 5 years. And that's a big problem for me. I mean, I believe it's for everybody. You know, we have new neighbors over here. They finish the basement. They spend thousands of dollars, and they steal it. They keep spending money, and it's just you know, to install something in the basement. That's not cheap. It's over $15,000. Not everybody has $15,000. You know, he called about you know, they're going to come and clean right away. 5 years. Yeah. So when they're going to come and clean? Are you
So you're saying cleaning the catch basins on the corner?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have a regular cleaning cycle, and if your catch basin hasn't been cleaned for 5 years,
Over 5 years.
that's a problem because we're required on a cleaning cycle to certify to the city council that they're all been cleaned at least once every 3 years. So if you have that, let me know, and I'm going to get on
I'll
something.
let you know right now.
Yeah, okay. But but again, one of the other things, again, is basements. And as sewers fill up to capacity, sometimes the water is above the level of the connection to the house into the basement. And if there are fixtures there, there are toilets, if there are showers that are at the level of that sewer in the street, that's where the water's going to seek its own level and come out.
Everything
So.
is screwed. Even if you don't have to, you have to understand things.
Yeah, it's you know, more and more, again,
Everybody has to know 2 feet of water.
we're in a city that is challenged to find housing for people, and we know a lot of people have converted their basements to actual living space. People are living down there. You heard from your elected officials that people drown. So we do take this very seriously. Again, we want to, as we get additional resources, make those improvements.
Nobody live in my basement. We have only communication by time. And she's I'm going to break down just to keep on cleaning the basement. I have to spend that money.
Thank you. But please let me know. Please let them know about the catch basin that wasn't cleaned, because I want to get on that.
这先生所说的是他有一个拍摄到，他知道有差不多5年没有清理。我们来说的话，法律上来说的话，是每3年一定要清理1次的。所以我们向他要他的地址，我们会跟进，让他的拍摄到有的清理。谢谢大家。
Hi, good evening. Thank you for providing this hearing. I am a homeowner. I live on Christina Boulevard since the early 70s. Over the years, we've had little seats in the basement. Nothing really bad. 10 years ago, we got some water through the toilet in the bathroom. That stopped pretty quickly. But over the last 2 years, especially after Hurricane Ida, it was gushing out. And we've had hurricanes over the last 30, 40 years, so I always suggest that the sewer system needs to be cleaned out even more than it has been. Now, in terms of FEMA, they provided me with the suggestion about the check valve. I don't know if the audience understands what the check valve does, but I intended to put one in, but I figured I had time. It doesn't happen that often. Well, it's twice in 2 years now. The check valve keeps water from coming in from the street and allows you to flush and have water leave the house, go into the sewer. So it's a valve that flips. And I spoke to a plumber recently. He said, get a 4-inch flat valve that's accessible so that you could actually clean it. And he said that you know his company could do it. One of my questions is that are there specific companies that can do this? Because he actually was there for my hot water heater. My other question is that I'm paying every year money for a sewer line to guarantee that if the sewer line breaks, whatever, that I'm covered. Can any of that money be put toward the check valve? And the other thing that I asked our members of the class, the politicians, is that some cities subsidize these check routes, the placement of these check routes. My neighbor said she had a pump come in for her house that estimated $1,100. Now, some people can't afford an $1,100 cost. There's two kinds of ways of putting it in. Apparently, the diagram showed you put it from inside the house, but there's others that require you to break through the concrete. So the actual valve doesn't cost that much. It's the labor. So I'm asking that you provide information for us about check route and politicians that are able to look into this thing, see if there's ways that we can subsidize the cost of these check routes. I mean, they may not always work, as one of the people mentioned, that her husband's a plumber and he's placed all these valves in, but for Hurricane Ida, I had to stuff a pillow into the toilet and that stopped the flow. So, I mean, if I could stuff a pillow in, a check route should be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start, I just started with the heavy rains. And Ida, by the way, was the largest hourly rainfall in recorded history in the city. Central Park was 3.15 inches per hour. Parts of the Bronx and northern Queens got almost 4 inches per hour. It just exceeded the capacity of the sewer system in the entire city, unlike anything else we've seen. And then this summer we've had, not quite that much, but the story I mentioned September 13th, more than 2 inches in an hour. The city sewer system, again, is between 1.5 inches and 1.75 inches an hour. And once the sewer is full, the water has to go somewhere else, unfortunately. Regarding the check valves or these backflow preventers, yeah, again, it's been in the building code for many years that if you want to put fixtures in your basement, you got to put one in. I know a lot of people haven't. It's really good to do. It's required, but they are expensive. Yes, we're happy to work with the council to see if there's a way that we can subsidize that. And we can't recommend anybody, any licensed master plumber should be able to either do it himself or tell you what to do. Thanks.
这先生问来说的话，你如果是有开进房子的话，你可以怎么样？我们也来说有一个 check out， 你可以叫你那个公司之后的 plumber 去帮你去装，那个东西会让这个排水在那里会停住，而不会再往回流所以你来说，你可以找人来，他问你有没有什么可以介绍，我们来说的话，我们这是介绍某一个公司或者某一个机构。某一个人让你去做，谢谢大家。
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add that we, on a federal level, are looking at legislation to see if there is anything like that could be created to retrofit to help homeowners make their property more storm resilient. Because you're correct; these are very expensive. Costs, and it's really hard for the average homeowner to pay for it. So we are looking at that, and in fact, I hope I'm not leaking anything, but we had a very helpful walk through another part of my district with the DP commissioner just last week, and he also asked the federal government to look into creating a program or grant like this as well.
Just one last thing on basements. We heard about FEMA earlier and how they barely give any money in. The reason is that FEMA considers a basement to be not a living space. Maybe you have your hot water heater, your boiler, a washer and dryer. That's all they're going to pay you for. They don't. But again, in New York City, everybody has their basement as a living space, and so that's another thing that we can, see if there's any flexibility at the federal level to address.
所以刚刚国会议员孟兆文说到，他是在联邦这个level 来说的话，也是看看有什么法案或者有什么基金可以帮助你们小商业者或者小物主，因为他知道这些东西来装的话是要很多钱的，也很贵的。我们来说的话，我们也是说，FEMA为什么就是联邦帮助你这个机构来说呢？
just gonna jump in here. I just wanted to address, folks are looking for some more assistance, and HRO does have a program called IDA Assist. I have my cards that I can help folks navigate that, but it might avail some more funding that would be matching grant to what you got for FEMA, or as you're rebuilding for catch valves and for heat sub pumps, stuff like that. Also, we were just discussing, as folks are trying to come up with ways to make their home on their own property more resilient, you might want to think about liberating the soil wherever you are. If you've covered your backyard in cement or your front yard in cement, you're helping that flow of water off your property and to build up in the community. So if you copy DEP's model for rain gardens in your backyard or in your front yard, you might be looking at making your property more resilient.
大家好，他来说的话，他是一般是好区居长办公室的。他来说的话，他那边在桌子上也有其他的机构叫 HR， 也有可能可以帮助你们。这次水灾的话，如果还需要赔偿的话，联邦赔不够的话，他那边可能有一个 program 可以帮助你们。还有你们来说的话，如果你们的地来说的话，外面是用砖做的话，你可以不妨想一想说用泥土来做，或者用塑料来做。但是来说的话，这个猛盘说可以给水吸收掉。谢谢大家。
I just want to add to Pat's point about pavement on private properties. And again, I know there's no street parking, and everybody's looking to, put their cars somewhere, but the New York City Building Code actually requires residential properties to have a certain percentage of the lot be green space. And the more and more pavement there is, the more and more runoff that gets into the sewer system, and that's a continuing challenge.
这我们局长来说的话，他还是跟 K Plus 刚刚说的，就是你如果是用砖还是什么来造你的砖位或者什么的话，它不会帮助水河流。来说的话，你如果用土来做的话，有可能会好一点。
I'd like to say thank you for coming and Councilman for coming to help us out. But I'm thinking we need more assistance. DAP is helping us. I need parts of recreation to cut into the park because trees are also a big factor where leaves are covering the sewage, and then that's where it comes. Why don't get parks of recreation to come in? I opened many 311 calls about leaves covering big trees hitting my roof. Who's going to check that? They keep saying that the tree is healthy. They have leaves. But leaf doesn't mean that it's not causing damage. And it's actually, when branch falls out, it kills people. Rain, flood, anything that happens that can happen with life learning. So I don't know if we could set up something where parks and recreation is join the meeting, because that's something that they need to work with. Besides, DEP did a lot of work, but I wanted to be more transparent. As in, okay, we're not, I live in Millbury. So the lower level is where the park area is. Yes. We're not considered the lowest elevated area, but why am I being flooded and the lower level actually not extreme flooding as I am? So I'm wondering, is this something related to how you do it? We have the engineers, architects in the community that can give advices or help with the situation so you can make your process work faster. I think I love one of the lady mentioned about a pipe is not in guideline. So if that was notified earlier, I think the funding should go into refunction better pipes, not making it longer. Making it longer, that doesn't resolve the root of the cause. It's just making delaying the things to happen again. So we need to find a way to solve the root, not just push it further while coming up again. That's my first concern. The second is neighborhood safety. After the flood, we had to clean our basement. Our gates are open, our fences are open. We're doing cleaning. Some robberies does happen, and that's happened to my house before. So what kind of police activity where we could get NYPD involved to make sure the neighborhood is safe? We noticed recently there's a lot of people just sitting outstairs. They're not in the neighborhood. We know all the neighbors around. If we know somebody not in the area, our neighbors will notify us. We don't, my parents don't know what to do. They're elderly. They call me, what can I do at my work? So if there's some police activity, that would be some helpful thing to help the neighborhood be more safe. Besides, we're doing cleaning already hit with a lot of emotional impact. So that's one thing that I hope somebody can help in the councilman. I guess the flood, the valve, I think that's a good solution. So this fund, DEP to send some of the connections for the sensitive. DEP comes to every household to check if the valve install is correct, or recommend some vendor that we can use with some discount from FEMA. That will help us out. Every house should be protected in some way to preventive maintenance. So I think that's some kind of way we can work out a plan.
Thank you. What we suggest is that we'll take those questions to Parks and NYPD back to that.
这先生出了3个问题。第一个，他是说他希望公寓局下一次来说的话，公园局下一次来说的话也会来的，因为他是说这些排水道的这些东西，有的是树叶或者树根这些卡住的，他们应该来这些论坛来说的话，所以他要求我们市民人看看下一次他们可不可以来。第二个问题，他所说的是人命安全。他们这一次因为这个淹水很多人的basement都淹了，大部分的门都开的，很多都是有的小偷给他东西都偷了，都不知道发生什么事。所以他是看可不可以要警察局或者警民这些人员来扶持一下。第三个，就我刚刚说到的那个情况，他是希望就是环保局如果有这东西来说的话，我们可能会去检查，跟联邦来一起合作，希望每一家每一户有这个东西。
Just regarding NYPD issues, you can come and flag an area if it's like it's dangerous, or me, or for letting back, you can flag with the 109 precinct.
My name is Jiwon. I'm living in this neighborhood for 3 days already. I'm very glad today as we're holding a meeting from government, from Congress, state, and cities try to provide funding to resolve this problem. I just saw EDP of the office, already providing information, knowing the problem. And look at the community, we are expect to have a solution right now. But unfortunately, from the presentation, from the EDP presentation, I don't think can solve our problem. I'm very sorry to say that. We need a solution right now, not another 20 years later when the city, another $50 billion to build a very, fancy surrounding the new area. But we cannot wait that long. Because look at the water go to our basement. That's in all the virus, like COVID-19, whatever you name it, we have it in our basement. Every day we try facing that kind of pandemic problem. Do you understand? Not just who living in the basement. Whatever virus in our basement, we cannot clean up on time. So that's our problem. That's the biggest problem. You already killed a lot of people if you not continue moving fast pace. Right now you're facing a lot of pandemic problem in our community. Look at uphill people enjoying fast-paced development. Low-hill people suffering further. It's really unfair. We pay every single bill, including sewer, state tax, city tax, and federal tax. So from my understanding, from the revenue we pay the sewer, we should have enough budget to do a finance to build our better sewer system. Of course, from whatever analysis you provide, I'm sorry, did not have a hope. So when I go to elementary school and even go to college, teacher always remind us, if you want to solve a problem right now, you have to think outside of the box. Look at this picture. Do you think the water just come from the shore? No. It comes from the street. Whatever pipeline from you extend to 4, 10 doesn't solve the problem. Because look at the weather, all the rain in the entire area, not just shore. If you look at the solution worldwide in South China, They try to, even in Singapore area, they try to separate shore and the rainwater in two pipeline systems. Why? Because they realize that all the storm water much bigger than the shore. You cannot compare it. So that's why in this community, we deserve the solution right now. So from my understanding, the budget is not a problem. Even from the government or even from our revenue stream, they do a finance. I was multi-public finance department analyst for 5 years. That was 30 years ago. From my professional experience, just based on the revenue stream, we can have enough money to solve the problem. So when you try to solve it, you need to consult our community. From my understanding, the best way to solve this problem is build all the temporary pool in the open area, like a sport, in the people underground. That is just temporary store all the big storm, you know. We have one good news in our community. We have enough sport area. You don't have to spend that much money a long time to eventually your shore system. You know? I think it might be another 5 years. But when you get tomorrow, because you don't know all the wires go to your basement, do you? Everybody here say no. Check valve is not the solution. The reason being check valve require maintenance. Maintenance could cause damage of a check valve, then cause damage of the pipe. Eventually, we have to pay more money to fix the small problem. So the problem solution should come from the city, come from EDP, not us. So that's why when you do a next planning, you should more consultant with us to provide a better solution and quick solution right now. I don't think budget is a problem. So we require your more hearing, you know, your solution meeting with us. So to consult our opinion, we need to do it quicker and faster. Of course, for long-term perspective and short-term perspective as well. Because I really want to set up a good example in our fishing community, enjoying the fast pace of development, not just uphill, downhill as well. We also set up a good example for the whole city to resolve same kind of problem, even the whole nation. You know, we can easily set up problem and solution, you know, from EDP, you know, and community, all would open, including all the resources like, you know, you know, our revenue stream, you know, from the bank or whatever people you have, you know, so that we expect it. And then I can see hope, you know, from there. Not just the solution you provide to us. Thank you very much.
So a couple of other ways that I want to, one was about the budget, and the budget is an issue. During the 2 years of the COVID pandemic, we raised our water and sewer rates zero. More money because people were out of work and there was a pandemic. This past year, we raised our water rates half of the rate of inflation. So while costs for DEP are going up for power and chemicals, again, it's a challenge. To do all this work, you know, again, it's needed, but really that you know, federal and state money that we haven't seen in decades. So budget has been a challenge, but we'll continue to focus. The other good point he made is about retention basins. We've done a lot of this in Staten Island, where we have a lot of open area that can be converted into these big, you know, holding ponds, these pools that you see elsewhere. And they work great. They're called blue belts. We want to do more of that in Queens. The problem is we may not have the property currently to do it. Congressman Meng mentioned when she spoke about maybe potentially there are some properties that need to be bought out, that we really don't have a good drainage solution. And if we go ahead and do those buyouts at some future point, maybe those areas can be converted into another thing that we're looking at in this study.
对我们来说的话，这些刚说到，我们3人来说的话，我们有这些大的这些像浴缸的这些东西，可以来说能来用装雨水。可是我们红区来说的话，目前说没有这些那么大的地方来说，所以我们有一些想法是说，有一些地方如果是真的不能修或者不能更改，还会用淹水的话，有可能我们纽约市来说的话，或者联邦来说，有可能会想到给这些地方买下来，而之后再来更改，所以这个也是一个想法。
Unfortunately live on Peck Avenue, so I have 2 questions, 2 comments. I understand you don't have the budget, but do you have the plan and you're waiting for the budget, or do you have the plan? That's my first question. And my second question has to do with the sidewalk, green infrastructure programs, whatever you call them. Some of them are very pretty, but a lot of them are full of weeds. They pool, the soil is very hard. They pool when it rains, so are they actually serving its purpose? And who's responsible for maintaining them?
Two very important questions. So one is how do we plan for if we don't have the money in the budget to actually do the construction? And it is sort of a chicken and an egg. We have not in the past said, well, even though we don't have the money in the budget to do construction, let's at least get a plan out, and we'll know if we do get the money, we'll be ready. And we've never really done that. We need to do that more and more. It's just have those ready. So for this area, we have Dewberry now. We hired them last year as a consultant, and they're doing this master plan for the area and collecting all that information. So we're doing that now, and hopefully the funding will come quicker than later than for construction. So that was the one question. The other thing about these rain gardens, I mentioned we have 11,000 of these certified rain gardens, bioswales. So the maintenance of it, the way we had intended to do it, the way we have been doing it, is hiring what we call city seasonal park workers. So they only work half the year during the growing season. We hire them essentially at minimum wage to do that maintenance and clean up. The model, we've tried it for the last few years, it's not really working well. We know we need more full-time employees, which is another budget issue, to hire full-time staff with the hiring freeze that OMB has imposed on all the city agencies and to pay. We're trying, but we know the current model doesn't work.
budget 来说的话是不够钱，还是连计划都没有？我们来说的话，这男生回答，我们经常回答的是，我们是有这计划，只是目前说的话，这计划来说的话，已经在走这个程序了。第二，我们这个钱来说的话，是希望联邦还有州政府会有这个拨款的价格，我们还有我们自己来说的话，会有拿到这笔钱。第二个问题，他问的就是上面有说到的这11000个微高点来说的话，这是怎么样？因为他说有的是脏掉，有的有垃圾在里面，到底是谁在处理？大部分我们第一年来说的话，造这个微高点的时候是有工程师他们第一年会处理，之后我们如果有这个问题的话，我们打311换环保局这边我们会处理。
Karen, just remind me, if you see a rain garden, it's a really, really important addition, call 311 and we'll get it on the list and try to get someone out there.
James Trickus, recently had a rain garden put in front of my house. And I think you're defeating the purpose because you're getting very little water into that rain garden. The solution to that is very simple. You cut a trench, the street, so more water could go to the drains. The way you cut it now, water can get in there. And you do it from one end of the street all the way down to the other. So with any of the bases that catch the water, just line on the pitch of the sidewalk, which is not enough, it should be a higher pitch to get the water into it. Also, the pitch of the street into a little angle just against the curb to flow down the street very little. So that would be one solution. The other solution to homes that have a pitch going down to their garage is very simple. All you need is like a mini speed bump, a little strip that's tapered on both sides that can be put the sidewalk and the side of your driveway going down. And if that would divert some of the water to the sidewalk to the street, prevent it from going down to the house, which is so simple. But you guys have to implement it if you
Now,
are serious.
two great points. So about making the streets as drains, the entire street. Like we've actually done pilot studies and we've done some installation with the New York City Department of Transportation called permeable pavement. And along the parking lanes in certain streets, we've been putting in these permeable, rather than just having asphalt where the water runs into the catch basin. The ground and the pavement absorbs the water. We've been trying that out. They seem to be working really good. They require maintenance because we periodically have to have a mechanical suction vacuum come up and pull the grid out. But we're going to do more and more of that. So that's what. The other thing about the speed bumps. Yeah. So what we started doing, the mayor funded us EP. We bought a bunch of these inflatable berms. You put your hose in it, it fills with water. It's like a big sausage. We've got a bunch of them. Happy to get those to the council member, and if you want to have an event, we can hand them out. You have? Okay, great. Awesome.
Council member has 200 of them, so we're going to do a give out. So if you don't have our emails, please get our emails, and then we'll be doing it next week. We have 200 to give out.
Comment, I hope you work with the building department, because basements are not meant to be lived in as residents and rented out. And I'm sure they're not reporting it to the IRS and their income. But the problem is not only a safety and fire issue, it's a flood issue. So you can't just convert them into housing space. A lot of them have low ceilings, a lot of them have upgraded electricity, and upgraded plumbing. It's ridiculous to allow basements to get legalized because you're on housing. Find housing, build housing, but don't allow basement apartments to be used that way. Like the resident come by and say, hey, you got people living there, I want you to take care of that. That's a big problem. Very easy for them to find out.
Thank you.
那个先生说了两个问题，一个是我刚刚说到的那11000的温高冷，他说他家里很多个人，他感觉这东西不怎么好用。我们的温高冷我们有另外一种，就是也是像地面一样的，它只是在里面有几个洞，它跟普通的地都差不多的。它这个它也可以用来说的话，它这个东西也是可以拿雨水也可以接雨水。第二个问题他说的话，他是感觉 basement 的这些住宅，他是感觉不合法。他还是说，如果税务局去查的话，他会问你这个收入从哪里来，怎么样来的，所以他也是感觉这来说呢，还是会有一些些。谢谢大家。
Thank you for coming out. My name is Geraldine Holt and Shirley Bryan. We represent the Universal Tenant Association, 168 apartments. And as my heart go out to the homeowners at this last, storm that we have, I just want to let you know that apartment dwellers have the same problem too. I live on the 6th floor, and I didn't think anything was going to happen to my apartment, but my toilet turned into a monster, and it scared me so bad. The water came up, then on my terrace. The water came in my apartment to my neighbors. We was destroyed. And our landlord will not take responsibility for what we lost. I lost the beautiful bathroom that I fixed up myself. And then our curtains and our ceilings was all yellow. They did paint over that. And another thing, we have new people that are moving in our building a lot. From Fort Rockaway, South Bronx, and everything. And our landlords have the nerve, and sir, maybe you can help me with this. They're charging people for water. And the tenants, one tenant pays $1,900 a month for one bedroom. And she has to pay water bill. And if you don't pay the landlord for the water, then he's got to step in your rent. And that breaks my heart. I don't have to pay an insurance Shirley have been living here, me 49 years, and she probably 50. Colton Street and 45th Avenue. So if you could just give me a little information about, can landlords order you to pay for water, regular water, and also, are they responsible for my damage and my, I fixed it up because it's been a couple of, years, maybe a year ago, but shouldn't they be responsible for the damage in my apartment? Because I didn't even think that it was gonna happen to me. I'm on the 6th floor, I have a terrace, but the toilet turned into a demon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I'll start with the water question, and that's, I haven't heard that before, so please, if you let Karen know what the address is, we'll go investigate that. In some condos and some co-ops where individual units have their own water meter, they get their own bill, but it doesn't go through the landlord, so it sounds strange. Yeah. And we'll follow up with housing preservation on the other issue.
这女孩子问到她是住45大道头的，她来说的话，她是住6楼的。她说她的厕所跟魔鬼上身一样的，那时候下雨的时候有水喷出来，她的 terrace 外面就是阳台来说的话也有漏水，后来她的房东还有收她的邻居的水来，所以她问我们怎么帮她处理一下，我们都会拿她的资料跟她联系，谢谢大家。
My name is Marie Pemberton. We live on 190th Street between 46th and 47th Avenue. Each storm that comes, it gets worse and worse. 22 years ago when we moved in, we get a little water. If there was too much snow, we go, we put a French drain in. Ida came, we went 10 grand for check valve, house trap, backwater flow valve. Prior to that, somebody came from New York City, DEP, and didn't put one of the gardens in, put some water basin in front of our home. Once they put that water basin in, that's when we started to flood it every time it rained. Had a plumber come in, and how convenient. The plumbing into the house was broke, the pipe, because that they're bedding, the constant bedding they put that in. How convenient, it's 1 foot on my side. $80,000 repair, what was just done from Ida. 2 weeks ago, flooded another 2.5 inches. I'm asthmatic, my daughter's asthmatic, and now they're telling me I need another $30,000 if I want to fix that 1 foot that the city broke, or the contractor, DEP, whoever put that base in front of my house. Hey, no flooding issues until that thing was put in front of my house. Myself and my next door neighbor, for any get in the storm, we get flood, the two of us, because that broken pipe affects myself and him. I've had your office come to my home and tell me to go and get a rubber piece and put it through all the way. When I contacted my plumber, he says, Marie, that's illegal, and if you get caught, you're gonna get in a lot of trouble. So that was the advice that your office gave us. So what else am I supposed to do? How do I protect my family? How do I protect my asthmatic daughter? And my life savings, everything was just put into my house. So 2 weeks ago, okay, for alarms, we want water alarms, to be woken up in a panic like that, to come downstairs, for it to be coming through the toilet bowl all over again. The anxiety, storms come. I work 6 blocks from my house off Northern Boulevard, and this is the second time either we flooded, and we just flooded again in the storm. So it's progressively getting worse. So we can talk about what we're going to repair, but where's it going to stop? And who's going to help all of us? FEMA, nothing. All this, a whole $5,500, the $1,100 from FEMA, and my insurance, because you know what they considered that? They considered that a backup for the toilet bowl. You know what that did? That paid the dumpsters that came to my house when my husband and I had to rip out the basement. So what else do we do? Because I didn't have any of these problems until they came and they put that water basin in front of my home.
Well, we're gonna do, so Vito, right there, he's one of our supervisors for field operations. If you go talk to him, he'll go out there personally tomorrow and take a look at it.
Please.
See what we need to do.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
How are you today? First of all, my name is Mike Ferrara. I live on everybody here for coming out. This is something that had to be done probably. A little backstory. My grandparents moved into the house in 1956, 57. Right after that, there was a flood. Maybe after that, every other year, there was a flood. I can go on countless amount of times that we've had floods. Early 2000s, late 90s, there was another flood. Almost as bad as I am. It was maybe up to my mother's shoulders. It's not that way compared to now, which is 6, 7 feet. I was trapped in the house. My brother, my mother, we were all trapped. And there's nothing that can be done. Fast forward to now to last year. There's a little one right here, 2 years old now. I was trapped, not at home. She was at home. I couldn't get there for about 13 hours. That's my story. But let's, I was talking to a bunch of people even last week or 2 weeks whenever the flood happened. There was numerous amounts of calls to 311 for the DEP to come and check on the floods where all the problems were. They come, they do nothing. They close it, they said nothing was a problem. Obviously, water's gonna drain. What can we do about that? That's one. Two, going back to the catch basins, I understand, like, you know, you guys gotta check it out. So, it was checked maybe 2 weeks ago, right after the flood happened. Before that, it was checked right after Ida. Before that, early 2000s. What can we do about that as well? And then going to what you said prior with the street cleanings. We had a street cleaning in my entire 30 years living there once. And that was last year. What can we do about getting involved with the DOT to get more street cleaning in there, as well as, you know, us helping out doing the sewer cleaning, as you guys to help us get these streets clean, because I'm not dealing with more floods. Paying us out to move out is something I can't afford. It may be the easiest route. I can't do it now. It's a small amount of money to split between 2, 3 people. That's gonna get me worse. It's gonna get me on the streets. And that's something I need some clarification for, because obviously this is Queens. We are the most diverse area. This is something that needs to be done. We don't want to leave Queens. This is the most convenient area for a lot of people. And it's somewhere I love, somewhere I want my kids to love. I want to stay in this area. But I can't do it without everybody's help. But going back to, that was started. This is a great stepping stone of going forward, but it should have been done years ago.
Thank you. Again, thanks for highlighting that it's not just basement down. It's life-threatening, these floods, and we need to move forward and upgrade the systems. And again, thank you for that impact. And as far as the buyouts are concerned, we did some of these after Sandy. It was market value, so we're not, no one's going to get lowballed to.
那现在说到那个排水来说的话，排水道来说的话，它是经过2次，一次是去年上过一次，后来2个礼拜之前又经过一次，之后都没经过。那如果你们有这些问题的话，你们可以改311之后会来我们机构，如果卖了出去，这就买一个。第二个他问的话，他是说，你刚刚有说到，如果你有可能。
I just wanted to add on to that. I understand that. I mean, this is a deal. I just wanted to add on to, yes, the buyout would be like the minimum you said it was? Okay. of course, it's gonna go to nothing, obviously. If you're split, if it's split into 3 ways for us, obviously, that's a different story. It still gets nothing. And I'm on the second floor now, but we were on the first floor. There's nothing. It's literally the sewer from the streets to us. And
Overland.
basically, so we really have nothing else to do. We're losing literally everything from when we moved in to have absolutely nothing. Going back to even now, like we just finished fixing up the first floor where my brother lives. Now we have to fix it again, and it's getting tired. Like talking to people, like my mother talking to my brother, it's ruining us. We're putting every little thing that we can into the house to say, all right, well, thanks for letting us live here. Now we're screwed because now there's going to be another flood, and now everything we just put into it is going back out down the drains, literally.
We saw after the September 13th flood, we were out, and people are just exhausted. We get it, we really.
Right, and it's going from 30 years to 60 years, and it's like, if we can't afford to live, how can we afford to rebuild? That's really like, it's hard to do, you know? Thank you.
I'm sorry I come back because I forgot to translate in Chinese. I want to speak in Chinese. 我刚才跟他们讲的哈，就是我把那个问题指出来，因为我原来就在环保局做嘛。然后他刚才那个环保局的官员，他自己也是说，我们的地区是离海平面21尺，并不是说我们在那个海边或者什么比那个海平面还低，那个时候是很难处理的。可是我的问题不在这个东西，他们一直跟我们讲，我们那个水势低，我们水势一点都不低，所以我们也不用害怕我们的房子好像不好意思跟人家讲，我们不是，主要是他们环保局的那个水管，他自己也承认，他那个水管只能够载流1.75英寸1个小时的下雨量，然后环保局他自己要求人家的标准的那个设计是5.95的那个1小时的降雨量，你除一下他的那个，他给我们供的水管根本就是1/3的流量都不到，这就是问题的所在。他们总买房子啊什么小的那个地方去排水，根本就是有个水的问题，关键的问题就是让他们给我们把这个水管给造好了，这是他的责任。按照那个市政府那个就是按照政府的一个规定，他实际上是这是他们的义务，必须要给我们做好这个水管的，所以希望我们大家多点投诉，要把这个问题解决了。Also, I want to ask, because I know that the DP has spent a lot of money doing study, and now you said you need to study again. I'm really disappointed because I know that I left the DP in 2006. Just right before that, you spent $2 million studying the sewer, the same problem, and no solution. So we're spending more studying for what? The $2 million, I believe, is enough to build an overflow sewer for us. If it's not fundamentally giving us a big sewer, we ask for an overflow sewer so that you can take the extra flow in the summer for us. We don't have water again. But now every time it rains, we get scared, completely scared. My husband almost got killed. The time I wake up on the Ida, I went down and at 11 o'clock, the water was up at the top of the basement. My first response was, is he still alive?
Hello, my name is Eddie Abrams. I live in this neighborhood. I doing everything I can to hold my neighborhood together. I want to be working together with this whole area. We all work together and we live what we want to do. I want drywall, they call it. sorry. The contractor put a dry wall in my backyard. $10,000. I never had no more water in my house. Now, what I'm telling you, that's $10,000. I guess if you wanted to spend that kind of money, you could do it. You know, and if you want to lay there and stay in that house, you're going to have to do something. So I said that we should get some kind of discount. We can get half the money for getting this, well, and you can stay there and live for however as long as you want. But right now, you have to do something. This is an emergency. You know, how much you want to try and fight this war, you have to do something. And that's what I did, and I'm glad I did, because I still, I have no more, the whole team on my block. Everybody got to get in the water. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
My name is Kathy Kennedy. I'm with the Messina Park Civic Association, the Queens Civic Congress, and the Queens Community Council. My grandparents were the original owners of my house, which is 1 block north of Messina Park. Since the sewers were put in approximately 1952, and I say that because I can remember the streets being dug up when we would visit my grandparents. I've lived in the house since 1954. We have never had a flood. We have water in the basement that comes in from sewage in my basement from Ida. I have sewage on 13 this year. You asked for some constructive suggestions, and I do have one constructive suggestion that I'm actually addressing our elected officials. When those sewers were in, Flushing was single-family detached houses with a very few 3- and 4-floor apartment buildings. Now Flushing is high-rise. We've got tens of thousands more people using the sewer system on a daily basis, and the sewers have not been improved. None of our infrastructure has been improved. I am asking that our elected officials stop all construction. We can't take any more people moving into Flushing until we fix the infrastructure. And the city council itself has the ability to suspend all variances, but you also have the ability to suspend as of right building because we've reached our capacity. And that's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Lucia, and I live at 153rd Street and Rose Avenue. And I would first like to say thank you for your team for creating the presentation regarding future storm and flooding preparedness. So we live in a really low elevation area. We're downhill. So when flood comes due to rainfall, it doesn't matter if it's heavy or light. We are experiencing flood basement and first floor, but it's not just based on sewage. We're receiving outside water, like from parks. We are surrounded by parks all 4 sides. So we're just getting water from outside sources, not just sewage. So I don't understand how sewage problems are going to help flooding. And now, when we're getting ready for future, we're not going out. We would go to cinemas normally or go to parties, but now we're not doing that anymore. Because we are scared and worried if anything would happen to our house, we would get flooded. So my concern is fixing the sewage is not enough. We would also have to help level out the area. Because we are surrounded all 4 sides with parks, and those water are coming to our area. So for future, we're not going out anywhere. We have 3 vehicles, keep in mind that. 3 vehicles each time, me, my mom, and dad would have to move out far away, because we're not gonna let them go. Due to Hurricane Ida, we had 3 vehicles already damaged. They're completely broken down.
And I remember being out there at IDA, and no surprise to you that the most challenging probably blocks that we have here, you do get overland flow, not just up through the
Yeah,
ocean.
and that's not the only problem. There are youngsters and elder citizens in my house. They're legally blind. During Hurricane Ida, it was hard for me. My mom wasn't there at all. My mom was stuck outside in water up to her neck level for 6 hours straight, outside. We didn't even allow her to go inside. She was in the opposite side of my house. She wasn't able to get in because of the water. After she parked her house, she couldn't come back to our house. So that's 6 hours outside. And my younger brother is only 10 years old. How is it going to him? He's got stuck in the water. He's going to get worried. He's going to start crying.
And again, you talked about how people lost their lives. Your block, I mean, the mayor de Blasio was out there.
We need to get this solution as fast as possible. 10 years, I know, people are going to move out. And it's not just how the people who want to live in these houses. It's not fair for them either. Yes. Right. Right. 2 weeks ago, we got flooded again in our basement. Exactly. I don't know if you're not going to believe this, but we have our passports, mission paper, and all those important documents in a suitcase right now. Because last time they were fully damaged, and we don't want them to get flooded and get in our personal. We packed them in a suitcase because just in case if anything happens, we are running upstairs, bringing that important stuff. What else are we going to bring? Photos or clothing? You can't do that. Only important stuff. And now I can't even, that September 13th, at 4 o'clock I woke up, I had class 9 o'clock in the morning, and I traveled all the way to Hunter. I had to commute. I couldn't go to class because who's there to help me besides mom and dad? And I have others. I have to be there for them.
I understand. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. I have to say that I'm very disappointed by what I saw today. The solutions present largely are to spend our own money. And I was also very disappointed to hear that even though we don't have a budget in place, we don't even have a plan that's waiting for the budget to be put in place. And I think the worst solution I've seen here is to put a barrier in front of driveways. I live in my block. If I had put a barrier in front of my driveway and it comes water out my basement, I have to put it in their basements and leave it by, and then that would be blood on my hands. Please come up with solutions that can help all of us. Don't put the onus on us to do it.
Thanks, man.
They call me Uncle Johnny. I've been here for 40 years. The last 10 were very problematic. And I know you know, but I want everybody here to know, 1 million years ago, a glacier came down the Hudson Valley. It stopped on Long Island, and it dumped all its stuff right here in your city. The lake in Casino Park was carved out by a glacier. These people here are not better than Mother Nature. This neighborhood, Flushing, is because it was called Flushing by the Dutch who came here originally, which meant salty marsh. It is still a salty marsh. We still have underground streams. Many years ago, they took the Casino Corridor and they made it a water channel going into Flushing Meadow Lake. We all have problems when we live here. Me personally, I will install a sump with a pump and a backflow preventer that I can access to. So it would be nice if the government gave me a couple of dollars towards that $4,000 bill, but I am tired of cleaning out my basement and having my family exposed. The only answer is for you. We the people, no matter what country you came from, you are here today. And the change in America is the ballot box. You have to support the politicians and the bureaucrats who are hampered by budgets to do for you. And the way to do that is to stand up, come to meetings, be nice, contribute, vote, and hand out a pump cards for our politicians. I want to say thank you to all of you, and I especially want to say thank you to all of you.
I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, but before we end, I'm going to still put the hot seat. I have two follow-up questions. This master plan, is there a timeline for this master plan?
Yeah, so we're moving along. We have a few options already. Some of them are the $10 billion, raise everything, and we know we're not going to be able to afford that, but we're looking at how we can carve out pieces, but we will get you within, I'm going to say by Thanksgiving, we will.
所以我刚才问他说有这个计划对不对？哪时候可以得到这个计划？他说在感恩节，我们因为看到第一步 first draft 这个计划，那我们公司意识到这个计划会让大家知道。The second question I have is we talked a little bit about the buyouts. Is there, and I know it's very preliminary, but is there any criteria or determinations that you guys would use? And you could say like what happened after Sandy, if that's like an indication.
We actually have this expert consultant that we brought in. His name is Eric Sanderson. He wrote the book Manhattan, which is a history of how New York City looked 250 years ago when, as you heard from Uncle, these inland streams and lakes, wherever they were, those are still there. They're just buried over and people built on top of them. And Eric Sanderson is telling us that some of these areas are going to be impossible to drain, and these may require us to just bring that land back to the way it was in the 1700s. And so those may be the buyout areas, and we're still looking at where they are and what we need us to do.
刚才我也是问他说，我们有说过，可能一些地方需要政府买下这个房子，因为那个地方真正不可以有房子在上面。所以我是要知道，好像我们哪一个地方，那他是说看历史的时候，那些地方跟以前都没有在房子上面。那这个我知道现在很多人有问题，我会让大家知道。And I really want to thank you for coming out. DP, I want to thank your whole team for coming out. This is not easy to understand that. You are here to us today, so thank you. I want to thank Tommy for translating. Not easy. 我们现在也是要感谢 DP 今天出来。And I do want to, I mean, there's a lot of things about the agencies that the park department, DP, I say all of us here that. And I just say, like the congresswoman, the senator here today, I know we are committed to helping out this neighborhood. 那我就结束说，谢谢大家。那我也知道今天我们听说很多话，好像不是只是DEP，我们可以跟我们 DOB 跟那个警察局一起合作。那我议员汪昭文跟我们的范立委余成立，我们是会合作帮助这个社区。谢谢大家。
Yeah, just one more question. You folks just talking about the buyout of some houses. You can raise our Is only selling over the two-family apartment or selling the entire community apartment? As I said, we should really look at our side of the box for better innovation. I hope the proposal you're going to propose by whatever you said, including temporary solution, everybody expects right now, not for long term.
The question was about buyouts, and that's last resort. We want to look at every other option before we go.
Again, thank you for coming out today. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long evening, but this is one of hopefully many